Well, it's been about 10 months since our System Centre 2012 roadshow. We wanted to come back, especially given the recent release of Service Pack 1, and just give you a quick update on what's new within Service Pack 1 and also a refresher on some of the key features. So the first product or the first component in the System Centre suite I want to focus on is System Centre 2012 Service Manager. Microsoft System Centre 2012 Service Manager is Microsoft's service management tool that's a component within the System Centre 2012 suite. It's a tool that enables orchestration of people, process and technology. Now when Microsoft decided that they were going to deploy a service management tool, they went out to market and spoke to a number of customers about some of the challenges that they face with their current service management tools. So what they came up with was a solution that enabled tight integration into your existing environment, something that was going to deliver you additional efficiencies, and also something that would align with your business and give you some tools to make some intelligent business decisions. So one of the main features of Service Manager is this powerful CMDB. If you think about your service management tool that you might be using today, it's typically an additional module that would be bolted on as an afterthought. And what we would find when we're talking to our customers is that it was difficult to implement, it came with significant cost associated with that, so quite often organisations just wouldn't implement the CMDB component. So with Service Manager, Microsoft actually built the entire product around the CMDB, so you can't get away from it. The way we populate that CMDB with configuration items is through connectors. So we've got a connector for Active Directory that can pull in information about your users, your groups, your printers, and obviously your computers that you've got in your environment. So dynamically populating that CMDB. There's multiple other connectors available for other components of the System Centre suite as well. So a connector for Config Manager, so we can get that software and hardware inventory that you've got deployed or that we know about. Import that in, relate it to the data that we've pulled in from AD, and you can see how we can start to dynamically populate this CMDB with content. We've got connectors for Operations Manager. So Config Manager knew that we had SQL deployed on a system, but what Ops Manager delivers us is the fact that we've got these databases deployed on that SQL server. Again, we're starting to add additional configuration items and we're automatically relating them all together. Then there's connectors for Virtual Machine Manager to import data about your VMs and your hosts and objects in your library, and also connectors for Orchestrator so we can understand what runbooks we've got deployed out in the environment. But through Orchestrator, we can also connect to other systems in your environment. So we might want to import data from your HR system into the CMDB. So you can see we've got this powerful solution and we can dynamically keep the data within that CMDB up to date. Now Microsoft have also implemented 5 ITIL processes within Service Manager. So we've got incident, change, problem, release, and request fulfillment. All of the standard processes that you would expect from a service management solution. Now ITIL, we all know ITIL is a framework. We pick and choose what we want from that framework, and it's very much the same with Service Manager. When you deploy those processes, we pick what we want to use and we modify them to suit our organisation. So you've got complete flexibility over how we deploy those ITIL processes so that we can configure them to work best for us. We add automation through some workflow automation. What we can do with that is we can offload automation activities to Orchestrator and have Orchestrator run some complex runbooks. But we've got built-in automation as well, because when a user raises a change request, we might have some workflows in there that say we need to obtain this approval before we execute the change. We might have some manual activities in there that need to be managed through the change process, and we do that through the workflow automation. We can build service maps. So through the tight integration with other components of the System Centre suite and the Operations Manager distributed application models, we can import those service diagrams into the Service Manager solution. So when we have an incident that affects our messaging service, we know that messaging is not just exchange. It's built up of mail gateways, of email filters, and we know that tied together. So when we've got an incident affects our messaging solution, we know how that's going to affect our end users. Now another key component of the Service Manager product is the ability to deliver additional efficiencies, because all IT departments are looking to drive down those costs. And that's how we justify the deployment of new technologies. So we needed a Service Manager tool to deliver those additional efficiencies. So the way Microsoft did that with Service Manager 2012 was built this rich service catalogue that gave us the ability to deliver self-service to our end users. So within the service catalogue, we make available services to our standard end users, to our IT team, and even to our management team, all through the one service catalogue. So the services could be something like, I'm an end user, I need to extend my mailbox because I'm about to run out of space. I can go to the service catalogue, which is contained within the self-service portal, request extend my mailbox, put in a justification as to why, and then it will submit that request for me. That request might go off to an IT admin that needs to approve it, but after that approval process, there's a runbook that could automate the extension of that mailbox. So you can see how we've started to deliver additional efficiencies by taking away administrative tasks from our IT team and delivered those same activities through automation. We've got automated routing in the tool. So as a user logs an incident within the self-service portal, we can have some intelligence that sits behind that that automatically routes that to the right team. So if I log an incident as an end user that says my Word keeps crashing, what I could do there is I could have automated routing that says for any desktop application, automatically route that to my desktop support team. So rather than having the end user have to call up the service desk, have an IT receptionist log an incident manually, route it to the right team, we're delivering that efficiency by automatically routing an incident that was created by a user in the self-service portal, and it's directly delivered to the appropriate team to deliver that support to the end user. And we've got a knowledge base as well within Service Manager 2012. So we can build a comprehensive knowledge base of not only self-help information for when users are having issues or need assistance with an incident, but we can deliver configuration information. Because you'd be surprised how often a user needs to create a signature within Outlook, but they just don't have the means or the knowledge how to do that. So they could jump in the knowledge base within the self-service portal, search for Outlook signature. Within there, we could have a step-by-step guide that the end users could use, print out if they so wish, and follow so that they can start to service their own requests. And when we think about self-service and typical IT help desks, you know, your IT help desks are restricted to business hours. But we know more and more our users are working outside of business hours and commonly need the support outside of those business hours as well. So by delivering a knowledge base to our end users that's available 24/7, they can start to service their own requests outside of our core business hours as well. And Service Manager also aligns with your business. So through the enterprise data warehouse that's included in the Service Manager product, we can start to develop customized reports or even utilize the built-in reports to deliver IT and business intelligence and help our IT managers and IT admins create informed decisions around helping our organisation mature and provide better services to our end users. So this enterprise data warehouse not only contains data for Service Manager, but it can also contain data imported from Configuration Manager, from Operations Manager, or in fact from any other system within your environment that supports a data source connection. We can import that data into the Service Manager Enterprise Data Warehouse. Now it also includes OLAP cubes. So what the OLAP cubes do is it enables our end users to manipulate that data through knowledge worker applications like Excel. So if you opened up Excel, connected to the OLAP cube within Service Manager, it'll launch a pivot table for you and we can start to slice and dice that data directly from within Excel. So you might want to make available reporting capabilities to users that might not necessarily have SQL query skills, so they can't write those SQL reports themselves. But through Excel and pivot tables, they can easily start to select the data that they require and build those mature reports. And finally, asset lifecycle management is also a pretty hot topic at the moment. So we talked about the CMDB and importing all of that data dynamically into the CMDB from our various systems within our environment. With asset lifecycle management, we can start to assign custodians of assets, also define at what stage those devices are within their lifecycle directly from within the Config Manager tool. Now Service Pack 1 is a recent release for Service Manager 2012, and in fact there's been a Service Pack 1 release for the entire System Center suite. So some of the key features that are included in Service Pack 1 for Service Manager are the ability to offer chargeback capabilities to your end users. This has got a particular focus around virtual machine and private cloud provisioning. So we can start to allocate costs against virtual machines when we start to think about how many CPUs you need, how much memory and how much disk we need to provide to you. Obviously to the IT department, that comes at an associated cost. So we need a mechanism to be able to charge that back to the end users. So that capability is now integrated into Service Manager 2012 Service Pack 1. With the 2012 RTM release, we also had some challenges around monitoring Service Manager because it was built on the same code base as Operations Manager. So Service Pack 1 has added some new improvements that make it a lot easier to use Operations Manager to monitor Service Manager in those complex deployment scenarios. Obviously, we're going to have that SQL Server 2012 support in Service Pack 1 and Windows Server 2012 to host the management infrastructure. But Microsoft also now support using the Service Catalog, the Self-Service Portal, and the Service Manager console on a Windows 8 device. So how do we move from where you're at today to a Service Manager 2012 solution? The way we would recommend deploying it is to deploy Service Manager in a side-by-side parallel implementation. And the benefit of doing that is so that you can get familiar with the tool, familiar with its main features, and understand how you would utilize it in your environment. Then once you're comfortable with utilizing the product, you've been through the relevant training, we can simply migrate the existing data out of your existing service management tool and import that into Service Manager 2012.